High Representative Borrell, welcome back to our program.
Thank you.
What is your immediate reaction to the terror attack in Moscow that so far 137 people have been killed and there may be more? Who do you think did it?
It's really awful, and we condemned it in the strongest possible terms. A terrorist attack against civilians has to be condemned wherever it happens. And this has been really, really tragic. So many people, innocent people, being killed by these crazy people. I don't have concrete information. I only know what has been published. But I don't think that linking Ukraine to this terrorist attack makes sense. The Ukrainians are not fighting against the Russian people. They are fighting against an army who has invaded them. I don't see that it can be linked to the Ukrainians. ISIS has been asking for responsibility for this crime.
And they've released body cam video as well. Does the EU, despite the major differences with Russia over Ukraine, do you have intelligence cooperation with Russia?
The intelligence people cooperate with intelligence people, yes.
Okay. Now, why do you think Putin would be publicly blaming Ukraine?
Well, we are certainly afraid and concerned by the fact that Putin may use these tragic circumstances in order to justify the increasing attacks against Ukraine. And in fact, it has happened on the last hours. The number of rockets and the number of drones launched against civilian infrastructure has increased, has destroyed the electricity system in some cities. But once again, we don't see any justifiable link between this tragedy and the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are not fighting against Russian people. They fight against an army who invaded them. Maybe Putin may want to take advantage of that. But the important thing is the suffering of the Ukrainians people, the suffering of the Ukrainians and the Russian people, and in particular the ones who suffered this terrorist attack.
Back to Ukraine, the suffering there and the uncertainty on the battlefield because of the lack of weapons from the United States and to an extent from Europe as well. You have just come back recently from the United States in which you said that you came away with a continued picture of bipartisan support for Ukraine, but still uncertainty as to whether this will result in a vote to unblock that military aid. I mean, have you got anything you can say about that and whether Europe can fill the gap in ammunition and weapons?
We are doing our greatest effort in order to support Ukraine more and quicker. We are the most important support of Ukraine. You add up all kinds of support. And we think and we expect and we ask the U.S. to approve the supplementary budget in order to continue providing support to Ukraine. You know, the U.S. has a vested interest in supporting Ukraine. Otherwise, it will be giving a free pass to Russia. And we know what happens then. We know that if we give a free pass to Russia, remember Crimea, remember Syria, if you don't show commitment and strength and real will to support Ukraine, we cannot afford Russia to win this war. Otherwise, the U.S. and European interests will be very damaged. It's not a matter of generosity alone. It's not a matter of supporting Ukraine because we love Ukrainian people. It is in our own interest. It is also in the interest of the U.S. as a global player, someone who has to be perceived as a reliable partner, a security provider to the allies. That's why we call the U.S. to open and to approve the supplementary budget.
Yes, I understand that. What about Europe's need to protect itself? There's a lot of discussion going on about focusing on your own defense industry. And in a joint op-ed with a senior European commissioner, you say, we're not talking about creating a European army. What we need and what we want to achieve in coming years is a closer cooperation between our national armies and a stronger defense industry in Europe. It will help also build an effective European pillar in NATO. Is there a European consensus on that?
I think so. A strong consensus on the need to increase our defense capacities, both on the industrial side, on the military capacities. As you said, as we said, it's not a question of creating in singular European army. We have 27 member states, all of them sovereign. Defense, it's their capacity, their competence, and they have their own armies. But these armies has to be more interoperational. They have to be more ready to work together. That's what we're planning to create, a rapid deployment force. They have to create a European pillar inside NATO. The Europeans have to take more responsibility for our defense. Certainly, a stronger partnership possible with the US inside NATO. But we have to increase our military capacities, starting with the industry and also with our armies. But it's utopical to believe that we are going to cancel the 27 armies to create a single one. What we have to do is be more realistic and maybe what do we have to work better together. Filling gaps, avoiding duplicities, spending better our money. We are spending more. We are increasing our military expenditure. And believe me, the Europeans have been taking stock. They are very much aware of the challenging world in which we live. And we have to be prepared for that.
Mr. Borrell, moving on to the war between Israel and Hamas, you've accused Israel of using starvation as a weapon of war. The UN Secretary General spoke in Rafah this weekend, and this is what he said.
A long line of blocked relief trucks on one side of the gates, the long shadow of starvation on the other. That is more than tragic. It is a moral outrage.
What can the EU do, Mr. Borrell, to break this deadlock and to, as the Secretary General says, roll back this moral outrage?
Last Friday, the European Union Council agreed on conclusions about the situation in Gaza. And the conclusions were very clear. We asked for unimpeded access to Gaza. We asked for increased humanitarian entrance into Gaza because it's not enough. The number of trucks is much lower than before the war. And as the Secretary General words, there are more than 1,000 trucks waiting to enter. The backlog of the number of people sometimes waiting for days and days. So the European Union Council, I want to repeat our wording, is in one hand to remind that everything started with a terrorist attack by Hamas against innocent civilians on the Israeli side. And we understand the shock and the feeling of the Israelis being attacked and many people being killed, innocent civilians. This was also a terrorist attack. But on the other hand, everybody says in Europe that the number of civilian casualties in Gaza is too high. Everybody is saying that there is starvation. And everybody is saying that there is not enough humanitarian aid entering into Gaza. So make a logical relationship between the two facts. The European Union Council asked clearly for unimpeded access to Gaza, increased humanitarian support, and for immediate humanitarian ceasefire, a pause in the combats, in order to allow the entry of support, to stop the fighting, to free the hostages. This is important to remind that there are hostages to be free. To avoid regional escalation, the spillover of the war in the Lebanon, in the Red Sea, and then start discussing about a political solution, because there is not a military solution to the conflict between Israel and Palestine, who lasts for more than 75 years. the lesson of what's happening in Gaza, the attack by Hamas, and the Israeli answer is that we need to look for a solution where the two people can live side by side, because it's not going to be possible for them to live together in peace and common security. So ceasefire or humanitarian pause leading to a ceasefire, free hostages, increase humanitarian support, and political solution, which can only be based on the two-state solution.
Josep Borrell, thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.